here. I'm going to read his bio.
Oh, Lord, don't read all that.
Only a small piece of it.
Please.
This might be his stunt double. Mark Butler became Georgia's Commissioner of Labor in January 2011. In 2011, Mark formed the Regional Coordinator Program in the Business Service Unit in 2013. These programs foster mutually beneficial relationships with Georgia's employers and economic developers. In fact, speaking of economics, he's going to Asia this weekend. Talk a little bit about that. In order to better serve Georgia's job seekers, Commissioner Butler created the Special Workforce Assistance Team. This team has designed a job readiness program to help unemployed and underemployed people better market themselves to employers. So in 2014, Mark created customized recruitment, which bridged the gap between job seekers and employers as well. So let's give a round welcome, Mark Butler, Commissioner.
Talking about faith a while ago, I think we've got a room full of Baptists here because everybody's sitting in the back of the room. I can say that because I am one. So sit in the back. You know, I always kid people. The reason why people sit so far back when politicians speak is they're afraid they get spit on or something or be asked for money. I don't spit much when I talk, so you can just say come back up. First of all, I want to give you guys a little bit of a warning, okay? I'm a little bit different than most people that you have heard that are from the profession that I'm in, which is politics. You may not know this, which is kind of funny, but I'm an elected official, okay? The Labor Commissioner in Georgia is elected. It's only one of three actual, well, it's kind of a fourth one, but I won't talk about Oregon, but it's kind of weird how they elect theirs. But there's only three other that are elected like I am in the rest of the nation. So it's kind of rare that you see that. But there's also a lot of other things that are elected in other states that we don't, that we probably should. So it's one of those kind of odd type things. People say, well, that's kind of a weird thing to run for. And I'll give you a little bit of an inside track to that. You talk about secret to your success. Well, I can tell you what the secret to success is when it comes to being in politics. All politicians are crazy. Okay? And I include myself in that. You have to be crazy to run for office. Matter of fact, I think the craziest politicians on the planet are the ones that run for school board. You have got to be certified to run for school board. Okay? So when somebody's watching a politician on television, which we're seeing a lot of that right now, and the first thing out of their mouth is, that person's crazy. Well, that's kind of a foregone conclusion. That really is not the point. We're all crazy. But you know what? When it comes to some things, you almost should embrace crazy, okay? And I actually heard somebody a lot smarter and a lot more successful than I am say that one day, and it made me feel better about myself. And that's when I was touring Chick-fil-A. And I was touring Chick-fil-A with Dan Cathy. He's taking me around, and he was going around their kind of little think tank section they have over in Chick-fil-A where they come up with new designs for new stores, new uniforms, new products and all that, and they had a big sign there and it says, "Embrace Crazy." And I was like, okay, what section have we walked into here? And then he explained it. He says, we're not one of those organizations where we look down on somebody that comes with crazy ideas, because you never know. That may be that one crazy idea that just knocks it out of the park and makes us millions of dollars. You just never know. I mean, there's a lot of things that we have in our life today that nobody else would have ever dreamed of important. And we carry them around and we do things with them. Like, somebody came up with a crazy idea. And when my team came in to the Department of Labor 5 years ago, after I won that first election for Labor Commissioner, and by the way, I was in the House of Representatives here in Georgia for 8 years before that, and if you want to talk crazy, there's a lot of crazy going on. There's 180 crazy individuals on that floor at any given time. Matter of fact, I thought I was something else. I was fairly young when I got elected to the House of Representatives. I had just turned, I believe it was, gosh, how old was I then? I just turned 32, so fairly young going into the House of Representatives. And I thought I was a big shot. I mean, I had just won an election, knocked off an 8-year incumbent. I thought I was somebody until my first day when I walked on the floor of Representatives and looked around the room and was like, I'm not all that special. If these folks got elected, anybody can. And I've said that to my friends over there too. So, but anyway, it's, when we came in, we brought a different philosophy. Because, you know, one of the biggest knocks I have on government and government agencies, and always have, is most of them are concerned about one thing, and that is running the grant or running the program. Okay? You get somebody, you hire somebody to take over an agency, take over a grant, and their main goal is run the grant. Okay? And if you want to know what that means, is basically is, here's the program. What did I just do? Made a box. Here's the program. Here's the rules. Just run it. Okay? When we came on board, we said, you know what? We hate that box. Let's do things differently. So we actively started going around talking to Georgia's businesses. And by the way, what do y'all think the Department of Labor does, or what the Labor Commissioner does? You have no idea, do you? All right, that's okay. You're about to find out a little bit of it, okay? So we said, we know we don't like the box. So let's talk to Georgia businesses, and let's get some feedback from Georgia business owners about what they think about the Department of Labor. And I go ahead and tell you, it was an eye-opening experience. Wasn't a whole lot of good being told to us. There was a lot of distrust, a lot of anger, a lot of complaints, a lot of unhappiness. We don't like the way you do this. We don't like the way you do that. This is wrong. This is wrong. And we're like, okay, we get it, we get it, we get it. You know, the worst room I ever spoke to as far as complaints was actually a room full of HR directors. Okay, if I ever want an honest opinion about things, get HR directors in the room. All right, and you know, it's funny, my speech was only supposed to be 20 minutes, and for 5 minutes for questions, this group actually requested of the moderator to cancel the 15-minute break so they could keep on me. So that's what I was in for. Now, I'd only been in office for 3 months at that time, so I was in that really good spot for a politician. You blamed everything on the guy before you and just said, we're going to fix that. But that was a good learning experience. We said, you know what, this is a great opportunity, because when you find problems, that's how you find successes. Because somebody brought up to me the other day, it was very interesting. They said that, you know, you can't be successful in the business world unless you're solving a problem. And I had never thought about it that way. And I was like, well, gosh, that's true. Every business model that's successful is based on solving a problem. You know, you need a better phone, so somebody invents a better phone. Or maybe you need somebody to do payroll for you, and somebody comes in and does it better. It's always about solving a problem. And I said, you know, it's very rarely do we ever see government solve problems. What does it usually do? There you go, creates problems. And I have preached to my folks all the time. I says, don't be the problem. Be the solution. And one of the things I used to hate hear anybody say when somebody would ask them a question or have a problem, and let's say it's something that maybe, you know, DFAX did or DHR or whoever, and they said, well, we don't do that. And then turn around. I go, no, you never give that answer. We may not do that, but we know the people who do. So be part of the solution, not the problem. Make the connection, be the bridge. And that's where we started. It's okay, let's find problems, and then let's come up with solutions. Now, being Labor Commissioner, one of the big things that we do is like matter of fact, today, that was the announcement came out, said what Georgia's unemployment rate is for last month, which it went down to 6%. And some of y'all may have heard my voice from the radio this morning. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. If you heard some country twang on there talking about 6% unemployment, that was me. Okay? So, I mean, that's one of the big parts of it. And so a lot of people think that my biggest concern every month is what the unemployment rate is, or how many people got laid off. And that kind of was my biggest concern 5 years ago. But things have changed, and the economy has changed. That is not my biggest concern anymore. Anybody want to guess what my biggest concern is today? What's that?
Creating jobs.
Creating jobs. You would think that.
Wage growth.
Wage growth. Labor pool. You're very, very close to that. Very simple. You're on the right track.
Economic development.
Economic development, that's part of it, yeah. Those are, I came up with something just the other day. I've got two numbers that I'm worried about the most right now. It's 17,000, 77,000. People go, what does that mean? What is that? What are those numbers? Let me give you two quick stories. Okay. First of all, I don't know if y'all know this, and this is not one of those numbers, but in the last 30 days, there's been 3,500 new job postings for the Augusta area alone. 3,500 new job postings for the Augusta metropolitan area alone. In the last 30 days in the state of Georgia, there were 77,000 new job postings. Okay? 77,000 is a number that concerns me. Now, it sounds like a good thing, right? Wow, we've got 77,000 jobs out there that are available for folks who don't have a job. That sounds good, right? Well, the problem is, if those jobs sit there and we don't get them filled and find talent for them, that becomes a bad number. Because if you can't fill the jobs, you can't attract new jobs. That is becoming an issue. Let's talk about the 17,000 number. Now, 17,000 number came up here recently. We have a new program, Department of Labor, that we started a couple of years ago. It was about solving a problem. And this problem was brought to us by economic developers, communities, businesses around the state. And here was the complaint. We would have a new company that would come into Georgia. Okay, and new companies don't have something that other companies that are here do have, and that is they don't have community relationships. And so after we've given them incentives and found them land and got them started up, it takes them longer to hire up than it does an existing company who's expanding. Because an existing company who's expanding, guess what they have? They have employees. And employees are some of the best people in recruiting new employees. New companies don't have that. And so we were hearing stories of companies taking 6 to 8 months, sometimes 12 months, to get fully staffed up. The problem that is, that's a bad story to tell. Because when another company comes located in Georgia or in your community, and they talk to that previous company, and they find out from them that it took them a long time to fill maybe 100 positions, maybe it took them 6, 8, 10 months, that doesn't make that new prospect feel good. Because they're thinking time is money, and if we are sitting there spinning our wheels trying to find talent, we're not making money. And so that's bad. So we said, you know what? We're the Department of Labor. There's something that we have and we have access to a lot of people don't. We know where a lot of unemployed people are. We know who they are. We know where they are. And in most cases, we know what kind of talents they have. And so we started working with economic development, had a test project, and from then it has grown into a full-fledged program that's very successful. And what we've been able to do, believe it or not, instead of seeing companies take 6 months or to 8 months to staff up, we have done it in some cases in less than 2 weeks. Mostly it comes around a month. And I'm talking real life stories. I'm talking about stories where we had a company come to us, needed 100 people. We took about 40 to 50 people, brought them on site, worked with the company, found out what kind of talent they were looking for, held a hiring event, had 1,600 people show up for 100 positions. Now that would have been a nightmare for that company handling that by themselves because they only had 2 HR people. That's a lot of people to go through. But we were able to go through them, weed out the candidates, and give them 400 good folks they could hire. They were staffed up in less than a month, ready to go, and they were making money. That's a great story for them to tell the next prospect. And we've been selling that, and selling that. But here's the thing. Here recently I was told about several projects we had going on just like that, where we were going out there finding talent for new companies. And then this number popped up, and it was, we found, I think it was something like 3,000 or 4,000 people for these different jobs, but we had 17,000 people that didn't qualify for any of these jobs. That's my other number that I'm worried about. What about that 17,000 that we couldn't find a job for? Why couldn't they find a job? Why didn't they qualify? What are we going to do? There's another problem. What do you think the most requested skill set in Georgia is right now across the state?
Truck driver.
Truck driving. Something else?
Laborers.
What's that?
Contract laborers.
Laborers, okay. Anything else? Come on. Be inventive. IT, that's pretty good.
Restaurant.
Boom. Got it nailed right over here. But he's heard me talk, so it's a cheat. He said, soft skills. Oh, I love the way you said that. Soft skills? That's the exact way that I said it the first time I heard it. Except I said it in my brain. I was sitting across from an HR director for a very large company that, I mean, it had about 10,000 employees, anything from somebody who would sweep the floor to a doctorate level engineer. Okay, they hired everything. And she was going on about the lack of soft skills in the workplace. We need more people with soft skills. So I'm like, God, what in the world is this lady talking about? Just like you just said, soft skills. What is she talking about? And then finally she started explaining some examples. She was like, oh gosh, the other day we had a guy that came, had a great resume, went, to great schools, had a, master's in engineering and all. And he came in, 15 minutes late for his interview. He was dressed sloppily. He had terrible communication skills. And she says, it didn't matter what was on his resume. We couldn't hire him. Move on to the next one. Got to move to the next one. And she got to talk about, getting people to show up on time, timeliness, production, work ethic. And I'm like, okay, I know what she's talking about. So my grandpa that had a construction company, he called it something else back in his day. He called it common sense. Okay? Now we laugh about it, but now this is, and I don't know if I can do this test in this group and get the same response, but I have this really weird quiz that I give to business groups that I talk to all of the time. Okay? Like I'll be in front of HR directors or, chamber of commerces, and I'll ask them a question. I go, who in here has either observed or been in an office or in a business where you saw an individual walk in the door to either pick up an application or apply for a job and they showed up in their pajamas? You going to raise your hand if anybody here has seen that? Go ahead. Wow. That's one of the higher percentages I've seen. I tell people that, and I do that same question, and I get that response every single time. That's a soft skills issue. Matter of fact, I challenge HR groups to give me an example of somebody that you had to fire, not lay off, somebody that you had to fire, and it was for a reason other than a soft skills problem. And very rarely do I ever get stumped on that one. It almost always can be linked to soft skills. The closest it ever came one day is the lady said, we hired a person to do XYZ job. We got him in there and hired him, and and after about a month we figured out they couldn't do the job, and so we had to let them go. I said, well, did they tell you they could do that job on their resume in an interview? Well, yeah. I said, well, that's soft skills. How's that? They lied. That's soft skills. So we saw the soft skills issue, and we said, we can do something about it. And this is what we've done. We said, here's a problem. Let's come up with a solution. Instead of just sitting there and going, oh gosh, it's just terrible. So now we have a program all around the state. We're in about 120 high schools, about 20 middle schools. It's called Georgia Best. It's where we teach young people the importance of soft skills, like how to dress for success. That's a big issue. How to do job interviews, work ethic, social media ethics, which is becoming a big problem in the workplace. Be careful what you put on your Facebook. Be careful what you put on your Twitter account, all that kind of stuff. And it's a real simple program because it's based on observation. They don't have to take a test. They're taught the importance. It's reinforced. They have to show up every day dressed appropriately. They have to show up every day working well with others, good communication skills, on time, that kind of stuff. And if they can earn points throughout the school year, they can be certified by the Georgia Department of Labor as a Georgia Best student. And something can help them on their resume. And we're trying to get this pushed down, farther down into the school system, down into middle school. Matter of fact, I ought to start in 4th grade, because this is the A1, #1 most important skill for economic development success. Because if you do not have the workforce in your community, you cannot grow your current businesses. If you can't grow your current businesses, you will not be successful bringing in new businesses. And I can prove to you really quickly how important soft skills are. Okay? This is going to give you guys two real quick tests. All right? I'm going to ask you a question about a particular type of business. All right? And it's going to be your opinion of your own. And I want you to yell out the answer to the first business that pops into your brain, okay? And I'm going to give you 3 counts. Do not yell out the name of the business until I go 1, 2, 3, and then yell it out, all right? So I'm going to tell you about a business, and I'm going to say, that has the best soft-skilled employees, and I want you to yell out your answer. So this is how, and I'm going to give you a 3 count. Here it goes. Now, when you go out and you go to a fast food restaurant that has the best employees, that treat you the best, that has the best soft skills, where do you go? 1, 2, 3.
Chick-fil-A!
All right. Let's try one more. Grocery stores. 1, 2, 3.
Publix.
Okay. Here's something cool about what I just did. I asked you about soft skills and about being treated well as a consumer, and both those two answers you didn't have to think about. It was instantaneous. What does that say about success? What does that say about success not only for the business but also for the employee? How important is that? So if I said payroll company, you would say
ADP.
All right. And but now when I'm in a mixed group, what I say is, if it's your business that I'm talking about, don't you want them to yell out the name of your business? And every business person, owner in the crowd always says, yes, of course so. Matter of fact, my dream is to one day say government agency, and everybody yells out, yeah, well, thank you. That was very nice. I know we have a lot of work to do. Trust me. It is government. All right? So, these are just two of the very small things that we have turned Department of Labor into. We are getting away from being only known for one thing, which is what? Unemployment. Everybody, what do you call my office? Unemployment. I hate that. We're the employment office. Folks back to work. Okay? Unemployment ain't going to pay the bills, folks. All right? All right? So, we're changing our focus back on the individual, back on the problem, solving problems. Trying to be different, getting outside of that box. I don't even know what the box is anymore. See, I've timed myself out. Anybody have any questions? Anybody have any observations, complaints? I know one thing that we can do better for ADP, and that's the fact that how y'all send all y'all's reports to us come on very large, old-fashioned magnetic media. We're working on it. I know. Trust me, I know all about that. We're working on it. But you got to understand, we're in an agency that has technology that's almost as old as I am. And until I got there 5 years ago, nobody had ever even thought about doing anything. Matter of fact, we have technology in there that half this room has never even heard of. There is a programming language called COBOL. Okay, there was a few people. Yeah, he's back there. Thumbs up in the back. Yeah, I know what that is. Yeah, well, if you know of any COBOL programmers, let me know, because we're still going to be running that system for a little while. You are? I need to borrow you. Okay?
How much time?
It's government. All right, and it doesn't pay well at all. Trust me. I mean, it's a problem. So we're trying to fix that. I mean, we've brought out a whole new technology every single day. It drives my employees crazy. Every time we get one in there, they're like, now we got time to rest. Like, oh, no, got something else we got to do. We got to fix this now. So, well, if there's no questions, we got one in the back. Yes, sir.
Mark, you mentioned the fact that the state of Georgia, is attracting a lot of jobs, a lot of new jobs. Is there a specific sector or type of industry that is seeing the most growth in the state of Georgia?
Well, that's actually probably one of the best news stories that is out there right now that nobody's really talking about. When we look at job growth right now in Georgia, it's not just, I can't just say one or two. It's more like 4 or 5 different sectors, which that's a very good sign. That means we're a lot more diversified. One of the reasons why Georgia was hit especially hard during the recession, there was one sector that was basically fueling our economic growth right up until the recession started. You want to guess what that was? What's that? Construction. People say, well, how can that be why is that so? Well, here's construction. And when you have construction, you've got finance, you've got, retail trade, you've got manufacturing. It all flows back up into one thing. And when your economy is mainly dependent on construction, all of a sudden it all stops. You see Georgia lose 320,000 jobs in a span of 3 years. But we've gotten all those jobs back, and then some. And you're seeing Georgia grow right now, and a lot more. It's it's a lot better growth. It's across several sectors. Construction is, though, one of the places where we are seeing very strong growth. They're right around 4% over the year. But so is administrative and business services, and so is, trade and transportation, and so is hospitality, and is a whole range of stuff. The only sector that's not really growing right now, guess what that is? No, IT is growing. Government. That's right. Government is in a negative job growth right now. Even example, Department of Labor, 5 years ago we had 2,200 employees. Today we have less than 1,500. 33% cut in employees in 5 years. But I think we're doing a better job with the 1,500 that we have. We have to. We have no choice. Well, we have one more. I'll take that. Sir.
Do you all try to push companies to other areas in Georgia as in like to grow? For example, how a lot of companies are in Atlanta. Do you try to get them to go to like, say, Columbus, Georgia, or come to Augusta or to other areas that have the capacity?
In our dreams. No, I mean, it would be great if we say, hey, we want to put you here because we need a job. No, really, that's one of the things we really work with communities on and say, look, it's almost, everybody know the movie Field of Dreams? That is so true. If you build it, they will come. If you are not building your local workforce, you can forget about it. You can't make a company go somewhere if they don't have the raw material that they need. Right now, the raw material is talent. You can only throw so much money and you can only throw so many incentives. If you don't have a talent, it doesn't matter. I mean, obviously we encourage, and there's other incentive programs for, like, especially more rural areas. But, it is what it is, what it is. If a company says, we want to be right here, then we're going to say, yes, sir, we'll see what we can do to get you to come here. All right, well, thank you very much for having me.